Assalamu alaikum. My name is Julie. I am here today to explain to you why I decided to become Muslim. I was raised in a very small town of about 1,500 people. And in this small town, there were 13 churches. A wide variety from Catholic, Lutheran, Seventh-day Baptist, Seventh-day Adventist. I was raised as a Lutheran. And I believe it was a very normal childhood where I had a mother and father, 2 sisters and a brother, and my grandmother lived with us. So we were raised in a family that really dealt a lot with family gatherings, social activities at church, things like that. So I considered it to be a normal American lifestyle for me. As I got older and once I went off to school, I started being confronted by different people thinking different thoughts, especially in college. I would be talking to people. I also worked at the university, and so I met many different people from different countries. And at that time, I started to kind of question where my life was going. I had very close friends that I noticed made unwise decisions, I thought. And because of those things, I started to really wonder where I was going. What was this leading me into? So I started kind of a gradual pullback from my friends. It was very, very gradual at the time. I got very busy doing other activities and started not answering phone calls from my friends. So at this time, my friends and I started to not talk to each other as much, and I started to just get really busy with work and other activities. And when I would go home, I would not answer the phone. Well, this went on for about 6 months. And then, alhamdulillah, it was amazing. I met a man that turned out to be my husband later. He was from the Middle East. He started to explain to me about Islam, and he gave me a book, and the book was called Inquiries About Islam. It was an incredible book. I loved it because it was very simply written. It was a question and answer kind of book. It compared the Bible and the Quran, and it also compared, of course, Christianity with Islam. It answered questions for me that I had that I was not brave enough at that point to really push myself to find the answers to. But alhamdulillah, this book gave me the answers that I was looking for. I questioned that Jesus was the Son of God. That didn't make sense to me. I questioned how people could be living a Christian life here, but yet they would be going out to the bars drinking and having promiscuous lifestyles. I questioned all of a sudden just going to church on Sunday and everything is forgotten. I questioned why they could be sinning and doing these things, but yet when they die, it's an automatic that you go to heaven. I couldn't understand this, and the more that I started questioning, the more that I had questions. More things were linked to one another. So once I started reading this Inquiries About Islam, I got the questions that I needed, and alhamdulillah, at that point, I decided to become Muslim, and I joined the Shia school of thought. I was introduced to many people that, alhamdulillah, for me, were American sisters, and then also many, many other sisters from many other countries of the world, from the Middle East, from the Far East, from South America, very diverse group. But mashallah, the one thing that was so consistent in everyone that I met was that they were so pure, so straightforward, so honest, so welcoming to me. Even for me that I came from a different background, they didn't question me. They did not push me either, which was, alhamdulillah, for me was a very good blessing, because I'm the type of person that if you push me too much, then I get stubborn and I go the opposite way. For me, they were consistently kind and generous and welcoming. And alhamdulillah, whenever I had a question, they always had time for me. So alhamdulillah, after becoming Shia, my husband, or actually at that point, my husband and I, we got married. And this has been, actually about 26 years now. So at that point, I decided that because I wanted to do it correctly, some people that I had met that were Muslim had told me that it wasn't a requirement to wear the scarf or the hijab. I decided that if I was going to do this, I wanted to do it the right way. And alhamdulillah, the majority of the women that I met were very, very strong and very self-confident, so they also felt very strongly about hijab. So they were a very good role model for me that helped me to feel comfortable. In the beginning, it was a little bit difficult. I am the type of person that does not like to walk into a room and have automatic attention on me. And of course, wearing hijab is one of those things that does draw attention to you. But then I was told by an American sister that I said, that she answered this question. She said that actually the attention that you are getting is not the kind that that people are attracted to you. It's more of a curiosity attention. So it's not anything that is inappropriate or anything, but that people are just curious about why I'm doing this. So one thing led to another, and alhamdulillah, I started attending Quran classes. I would go to the masjid. I would talk with other sisters. And alhamdulillah, for me, I had, as I mentioned before, a very diverse group, but alhamdulillah, I also had close American sisters that were going through the same thing that I was going through. So we would compare notes, talk about our families, how our family was relating to this. Were they having a hard time with it? So we had kind of a private little group, but it was very supportive. So it was the perfect thing for me, exactly what I needed, because I needed to feel that I was part of something important, as well as part of something that I was doing something with my life that I could make a difference. So one thing led to another, and alhamdulillah, thanks be to God, that as I feel my faith or my iman grew stronger, I wanted to venture out a little bit more and talk to more people. My husband at that point, we have 2 children. My husband at that point said that if I feel comfortable working, this is something that it's fine with him. Muslim women are able to work. We are able to hold political office. We are able to be a vibrant part of the community. We are not just supposed to sit at home and just watch TV or just cook and clean and things like this. We should be participating people in the community, something to make a difference. This is why Allah has given us life. And I feel very strongly that for all of us, whether we are male or female, we need to make a difference. So for me, alhamdulillah, I had a very supportive husband that supported me in whatever I did. I was able to go out and work. And alhamdulillah, also, you know, even in the beginning, some of my co-workers have commented in the beginning that they didn't know if I would feel uncomfortable to answer questions. But I have always reassured anyone that I've ever talked to that please ask me questions. These are the ways that you will learn about the true Islam rather than what you hear in the media. Unfortunately, in the media we see many erroneous things where they're talking about how women are are held down in Afghanistan by the Taliban, in Saudi Arabia, where women cannot even drive a car, that they're not able to leave their homes. This is not Islam. And alhamdulillah, I was able to find what true Islam is. And alhamdulillah, for the people around me, that I wanted to learn what not the cultural Islam is, but the true Islam. So when I found out that this is not true Islam, it gave me even more faith and more courage to continue and to talk to people. Because unfortunately for the media, as I said before, there are so many things that are misconstrued or said to be completely true, which are far from the truth. Another thing that I have discovered, most people that have asked me questions are amazed when they find out that Islam has the same important people that are in the Bible as well as in the Quran and in the Torah. So for me, I keep on telling them that in our Quran we have one book that is written it's called An-Nisa. It's the book for women. The translation is for women, where it talks about women, the importance of women. There's also another book in our Quran that is just for Miriam, which is the translation for that is Mary. She is the mother of Jesus. And in this book it talks about the importance of Mary, her role in the birth of her son, that she was an honorable, straightforward woman, that she was a virgin, that was decided by God to be the mother of Isa or Jesus. And so in our Quran we talk about, it is discussed in there, the importance of women. And this for me has always been very important, that I feel whenever I talk to women, I stress that we do not wear hijab just for the sake of being oppressed by our husbands or fathers or brothers. This is something that is because of modesty. It protects us from the society. And this is another thing that I always had a hard time understanding, being raised in basically a Christian country such as the United States, where women talk about freedom, but unfortunately they're talking about freedom of hairstyle, about clothing, that they can dress in very, very little clothes or whatever, and then that is freedom to them. My idea of freedom is completely the opposite. My idea of freedom is where people are not looking at me because of what size I am or how my hair looks or something. Once my coworkers and people that I talk to get used to my scarf, usually it gets to the point where they feel very comfortable asking me questions. I want people to look at me not just as dressed funny or an oddity in America. I want people to look at Muslim women as being intelligent, having something important to say, having something to bring to the community. And it's been a blessing for me that people, once they get to know me, they feel comfortable asking me questions. And of course, we as Muslim women have great roles. We have Khadija, we have Fatima, we have Zainab. MashaAllah, these are our role models. They're not the princesses and the king's wives of the Middle Eastern countries. These are not role models for us. That, alhamdulillah, these strong women were strong Muslim women. And they would make speeches in front of men and women. They would make decisions. They could run businesses. Even, of course, our role model, Khadija, was like 40 years old when she asked the Prophet to marry her. She had a business. She was very capable. She was very straightforward and honest. She saw good qualities in the Prophet, so she was the one that initiated asking for him to marry her. And then, of course, after the blessing of Khadija and the Prophet, for Fatima to be born. And then even for her to be an example for all women, as it's always something where the Prophet would talk about Fatima as she smells like heaven. He would always feel comfortable in her home. He always depended on her to take care of him when he was having difficulties, or in the beginning when he was being abused by non-believers. So these strong women are our role models. And because of these strong women, we as Muslim women do not have to be shy. We need to dress modestly so that, inshallah, God willing, people around us will learn to respect our decision and respect our modesty, respect our behavior, and not think that we are being oppressed, that we are being forced to dress like this. Of course, one of the questions that I got in the beginning when I first became Muslim was from a non-Muslim, and she said, "Your husband is making you dress like this?" And I said, "No." I said, "How could this be possible if my husband is not with me 24 hours a day?" You know, this was my choice to do this. This was my choice to be Muslim and to dress in a modest way. And the women that you see dressed like this, it is their choice. And this is something that for any woman that makes this choice, we have pride in ourselves, we have pride in our families, we have pride in our ability to speak and to be intelligent people for this society. One other thing that I always had a hard time understanding with Christianity is that no matter what Christians would do, they always felt automatically that they would go to heaven. I still cannot understand how they can think that way. We, as Muslim and also as creative and intelligent people, we understand that we do not get rewards just for nothing. And we as Muslims, as with anyone that is truly practicing their religion, has to do good deeds. They have to do good things. They have to be honest. They have to be good parents. They have to be doing whatever you can for charity, for fasting. Of course, alhamdulillah, for us as Muslims, we have many ways of doing good things. But this is not just for Islam. But unfortunately, it seems like because we are permitted, we understand completely what our religion tells us. Also, alhamdulillah, Islam is very, very straightforward in its rules, that we pray 5 times a day. I, for one, really appreciate knowing exactly what I should be doing for me to earn heaven. And this is, of course, something that is our final reward. But, of course, we know other people are doing good things, so that just encourages us to try and do other good things. But as a Muslim woman, I find support from people around me. I find support from even Americans that are kind of surprised, but they are learning and asking more and more questions about Islam. So for myself, I really appreciate this time to spend with you. I hope if I have offered you some ideas, maybe God willing, you will be able to ask more questions or to think about other things that maybe you don't understand, but you will not be shy about finding out the answers for. So God willing, inshallah, I will see you again sometime, and by all means, inshallah, have a blessed life.